we're on the dating app just to fill the void that we have.
How does one build meaningful relationships?
There is always going to be some kind of an imperfection in your relationship. It's because we fear rejections so much.
Yeah.
If the only thing Gen Zs are really getting into today is not love story, those are lust stories. But there was a research that basically says that a lot of men withhold their emotions. Even once Steve Harvey said this. He said that women have biological clock and similarly men have financial clock. That there are certain aspects of relationship which predicts divorce. Whenever anyone comes across a discomforting conversation or a situation, we term it as toxic.
People find it increasingly difficult to find love, even with all these options.
A lot of people actually ghost because they're insecure. Maybe this person is now suddenly talking about commitment, but I'm not one of those. I just want to have a fling.
Welcome to the Humans of Bombay show, Ekta.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited, and I've worn this bright pink/red color in the spirit of Valentine's Day week, which we're currently in. And I don't think there's a more opportune time for me to be speaking with you.
I think, of course, I do agree to that. But also at the same time, I'm way too excited to be on this show. Because I think Humans of Bombay has been the most OG platform that I've been looking up to when it comes to understanding stories or maybe even relationships. But I'm super excited because we have like so much to talk about.
Of course, I'm so excited to hear from you. And relationship coach, I was like, how exciting, I can't wait. So let's start with love. It makes the world go round. It's the most discussed topic. You either looking for love, sometimes running away from love, or in love, or want to be in love. So much around love, like film, art, poetry, central theme, right? The central emotion of us as human beings. What is the definition of love to you?
It's actually way too subjective and tricky, but it's as simple as complex it can be. But love, overall, it simply means that you know that this person is someone you desire, you belong to. And one of the reasons why a lot of our life revolves around love, whether, like you mentioned beautifully, art, or whether our work, or whether our social connections, everything revolves around love so much. It's because we come from a space of belongingness and we want to belong to someone.
Yeah.
Having said that, love in itself simply means that you love someone and you accept someone for who he or she is without any definition, knowing that you just want to see that person's growth. You want to see this person do well in life and be happy.
Yeah.
And knowing that even if the person falls, you have his or her back. That's love. It doesn't come with conditions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And do you think our definition of love has evolved, right? Like we've gone from love letters to technology to applications to Instagram.
Yeah.
The mean and medium of love has obviously changed, but with that, do you think that the definition has also changed?
A lot more. Earlier, love didn't have much conditions, or it didn't come with different connotations to it. Today, I think we are looking at love not from a love perspective, but from a very short-lived lust perspective. Today, you look at someone, you feel attractive, you feel, oh, that's love. Earlier, that wasn't the case. You would know the person. You would understand where this person is coming from. There are a lot of different connotations that people have attached today. But love has evolved in a lot of different ways, where I think even without having to think about, what if I just sit in silence with this person? Is this going to be awkward? No, that wasn't the case. Today, if you're sitting in silence with your partner, it's a little awkward. That's how today's love is, because you want to constantly fill that relationship.
Correct. So in a world where it's so fast-paced, right? And how does one build meaningful relationships in this world, our world today?
One way is to know that every relationship takes time. And today, the only thing that we don't have is time.
Yeah.
Today, we want everything fast-paced. It's like a 2-minute Maggie that we're looking forward to. So I think today it's important to understand that relationship needs effort, time it requires you to understand and be there, it needs your undivided attention.
Yeah.
And more so, it needs your commitment, if anything. It doesn't want you to deviate your energy and your attention to 10 different platforms.
Yeah.
Or 10 different people that you're benching right now. So it's like, oh, if things are not matching with this person, I have this other guy whom I've right swiped.
There's always an option in the corner,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And which is why, because you feel that there is a back door that's open all the time, you don't give your 100% to it. And I think that's the worst part of today's dating.
100%.
Because you always feel, because when you talk about this OG old school love, it used to be the sweet love. Even when you had a fight, you would know that you would do the little things with each other, or for each other. People are talking about orange peel theory today. Have you heard about it?
No.
Orange peel theory is more like, I want to have an orange, but I don't like peeling it, so can you do that for me? So it's about your partner doing things for you which are easy for you to do it. But because your partner is doing it for you, it means that person it's more like an act of service for you. Maybe it's just an anecdote that's been given, or maybe it's just an example of what acts of service is like, where your partner does things for you which are easier for you to do it, but since he or she understands that, it's more like an addition that the person can add on, or maybe a value that the person can add on to your life.
Yeah. But why is this a theory? Like, why can't it just be?
Exactly. So
It's so normal.
I'll tell you why. Because today we've started to aggrandize even bare minimum stuff.
Exactly.
Because we think that even doing bare minimum for each other is also like a big
deal.
thing.
Let's make it a theory.
Right.
Which brings me to my next question is, like we were saying, because you know that there's somebody always waiting, there's so many options. But there's a dichotomy that people find it increasingly difficult to find love, even with all these options. So what do you think?
Because there's something called Goldilocks mentality.
Okay.
Do you know what Goldilocks
What are these
mentality
things?
is?
How do people know this? Why?
So have you heard about the story of Goldilocks?
Yeah, I know Goldilocks.
Right.
Yeah.
She sought things out very easily. It was very easy for her. Like, right porridge, right chair, right bed. It was easy for her to sort these things out when she entered the house.
Yeah.
So we as humans, we're constantly looking for just right. Someone who's just right for me. Someone who actually fills the gap perfectly.
Yeah.
But not everyone will fill the gap perfectly. There is always going to be some kind of an imperfection in your relationship. So this Goldilocks mentality is like you meeting someone, but also the back of your mind, you think that there's someone better out there, someone who's way more right for me. And this is kind of a mindset that's been built from your childhood, where you feel that no matter how hard you try to be at your best, but let's say if your parents have been a bit dismissive in nature, where they feel that you can always do better in your life, it just forms a belief system in your mind saying that, oh, maybe I can find someone better.
Yeah.
So a lot of it actually boils down to how you've been trained, how you've been conditioned, throughout your childhood, what you've seen. I'm not putting parents through any kind of a situation where they've been made accountable. No, it could be anyone else. It could be your friends also, who have made a big deal out of this whole situation. Oh, you can always do better in life, and not really making you feel seen or heard. So when you've always felt that in your growing years, it gives you a belief system in your head saying, oh, maybe I can do better. So even when you meet someone who's good for you, who understands you, who loves you, who values you, who knows what your boundaries are, and who always wants to see you grow, you still somewhere feel that maybe I'll find someone who's more better, more richer, more handsome, someone who's way better than I am. And this is Goldilocks mentality, where you're constantly striving for just right.
But that's exactly right. That's perfectionism also. You're looking for something so perfect when it doesn't exist.
But the beauty is actually in imperfection.
Exactly.
It's two imperfect people coming together, making it work every single day.
Yeah.
And that's how relationship has to be and should be also.
Yeah. But since we're speaking about dating apps and that culture, I mean, it's so rampant, of course.
Yeah.
It's like every person has the access and ability to use a dating app. Are there any boundaries that one can set while using these apps? Like, what are some of the things that we can do to have a healthier relationship with dating apps in itself, and some of the things that you do to kind of make that process not as superficial or jarring, you know, like where you can make it meaningful. There's somebody in the office who's married their partner after meeting them on a dating app. So it does exist, but it's not the norm.
Yeah. I think one of the ways I think the whole process begins with yourself. You have to know yourself, what you want. You have to understand your own feelings, your emotions, and where you're coming from. It's only when you understand yourself, you'll understand why are you on the dating app. Sometimes we're on the dating app just to fill the void that we have. Because I don't like being alone, which is why I'm looking for a partner. But I think there's a difference between being lonely and solitude.
100%.
You have to learn to enjoy your company.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy the process of life. Only when you understand that, you realize that your life is like a cake.
Yeah.
And someone's addition is more like a cherry on the top. And once you think that you've found someone, or maybe you're trying to connect with someone, knowing that it takes time, it needs effort.
And attention.
It needs attention. And more importantly, it needs your commitment. When I say commitment, doesn't have to be necessarily relationship commitment. It could be you committing to know this person and knowing you match. Because you can't, definitely when you know, like in the back of your head, you know there's a back door that's open for me, you will never fully commit. You will never put in the hard yards in to know this person, to know where this person is coming from. And which is why, despite having the paradox of choices, or maybe the pool of choices, it's like a problem of plenty today, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's a problem of plenty.
Yeah, because you're one swipe away from a new option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think today with the dating apps, a lot of people, they don't realize it's just not attraction. You have to find whether this person is matching your non-negotiables or not.
Yeah. And I feel like that brings you to communication, right? Like so much of all of this can be avoided with effective communication.
Yes.
And the antidote of effective communication is ghosting, which people on apps or otherwise have to deal with.
Yeah.
What is the way to navigate that?
When it comes to ghosting, a lot of people, like I said, they don't know what they want in a relationship, and which is why they ghost. One of the reasons why they meet someone, but they do not have the strength or the courage to get into the depth of it. Maybe the person have always seen shallow relationships around them. So sometimes it's your belief system which kind of stops you. Second, it's your sense of insecurity. When you're insecure in your own self, a lot of people actually ghost because they're insecure. That what if I may not be able to give 100% to this person? What if I am not in a right headspace to commit to this person? What if maybe this person is now suddenly talking about commitment, but I'm not one of those. I just want to have a fling.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe I'm looking for like a one night.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah.
It's important to communicate instead of ghosting.
Yeah.
And I just suggest this one thing to today's generation is please communicate. Communicate well, whatever you're feeling. And a lot of people today, they don't communicate. Which is why it's important to talk about your values, where you're coming from. It's important to talk about deep things, whether to do with your traumas also. It's important to communicate about your relationship goals. What are you looking for? And it's way more important to talk about your boundaries.
Yeah.
That what do you think is allowed and what isn't allowed. Because the other person will not know. It's all about if you come from a space where you want some clarity, you can ask that maybe in some intimate conversation where just you and your partner or the person you're seeing, just sit and communicate what do you think about relationships. You don't directly ask a person about, oh, what your past has been like, this, that. But you simply ask, what do you think about us? It could be as simple as this. But you know what? We've made it so complex.
Yeah.
Why? It's because we fear rejection so much.
Yeah, you fear rejection.
We fear rejection.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so simple. And I've always operated from a lens of I'm just going to say this is what I need or this is what I want, and
Yeah.
either it works for you or it doesn't.
Yeah. But I think the way that you operate, not everyone operates that way.
Yeah.
And I think this comes with, of course, your experience and age. Today, Gen Zs don't have that. The only thing, it's funny, this was one of the research that I came across, that the only thing Gen Zs are really getting into today is not love story, those are lust stories. And it's weird.
Yeah, so weird.
Because it's difficult for them to kind of commit, because I'll tell you why it's difficult for them to commit also.
Yeah.
Commit to relationships, because today there's so much of social media influencing them in a way where, oh, see my friend doing absolutely great in life and career,
Yeah.
and here I am not doing that great.
Yeah.
In that case, you're comparing yourself to the person, and which is why you keep your relationship on hold, and you want to just focus on this one area, which is also one of the reasons why people don't commit. They're like, listen, this is one area, but it's not a question of either or.
Exactly. Why? I've never understood this. I'm like, the right kind of relationship, if it's healthy, enhances other parts of your life. It's not
Yeah.
like a liability.
It's not either or.
And it's not liability.
Yeah.
Like any relationship makes it feel like a liability is like, question that.
Yeah.
It's
I think that also comes, I don't want to be gender biased here, but a lot of it comes from a male's perspective. And this is one of the research that I came across. It's weird. I know there's going to be a lot of backlash from men here, but I feel, forget me feeling about it, but there was a research that basically says that a lot of men withhold their emotions, or maybe they don't want to commit completely because they think till the time I don't think I'm completely settled in my career, I am not ready to move in a relationship. But if you find a right female or a right partner who really likes you, loves you for who you are, your partner will actually push you to be better in your life and not really try to take you away from your endeavors.
Correct.
If anything, your partner will help you work on different endeavors of life.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of either or. It's not about, oh, you know what, you have to give the whole attention and time to me.
I know what you're saying, but like it's just so bizarre to consider this scenario, right? Because I just cannot understand the distinction. Like, why is it either or? It can just be like both aspects, right?
That's
Like,
how
it's
men
so-
are wired. Specifically, men are wired. Also, because research says that men are wired that way.
I love how it's like research. Don't come at me.
Yeah,
It's
don't come at
research.
me.
Yeah.
A reason, because, of course, even once Steve Harvey said this, he said that women have biological clock, and similarly, men have financial clock. And that just blew my mind, because
Can't understand it.
because men think unless and until I am not financially secure and I can tend to a marriage or a partner, till then I'm not going to get into a relationship. For women, they don't come from a space that, oh, if I can't bear a child, let me not get into a marriage.
Okay,
She doesn't come from that
it is,
space.
of course, yeah. What about men who have the relationship? I mean, what about men who have the career sorted and are financially stable but still aren't committing? What about those men?
So for them, I think of course, it's subjective.
Yeah.
Second, if they've seen a lot of broken marriages or broken relationships around them. So if I've seen my parents not having a healthy relationship, they've been fighting over everything, maybe don't have a cordial relation or an equation, where my family was more like a dysfunctional family, right? Then I've learned from that behavior that marriage or relationship is not a great thing to be in.
Yeah.
So a lot of our behavior today is a learned behavior. Also, if you've met someone who's been way too manipulative in nature, didn't know how to respect your boundaries, didn't value you, didn't desire you much, or was you for certain aspect or whatever, you've learned that this person's love was so conditional and that's why you broke up. So now, let me not get into a relationship because I don't have the bandwidth to
Go through that again. Yeah.
But know that your past relationship and your future are completely two different
Entities.
aspects altogether.
Yeah.
And you don't have to kind of, which is why it said that when you've been through a breakup, don't immediately rush into another one because you have a baggage that you need to deal with.
Correct.
Deal with your baggage such that you heal better. Only then you can start afresh.
You can't jump into things. That's just,
You
it's a bit,
because you've not dealt with your trauma that you've experienced, and all you're going to do, it's a similar analogy that I'll give you. When you go to a supermarket, you have a list of things that you have to buy, right? Let's suppose if you forgot 2 things in that entire list, you will carry it forward in your balance sheet saying, I'm going to go next time and I'm going to take these, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll go and buy it. This is what happens in relationship. If you really haven't healed completely from your past relationship, you're going to carry it forward
into your next one.
So if you've had trust issues in your past relationship, you're going to carry it forward. Which is why a lot of times people, they can't explain why I can't trust this person.
They just have no explanation. They just can't.
I can't. But they don't sit with themselves. And which is why I impose this everywhere, that sit with yourself. Sit with your emotions, such that when you know yourself, you'll know the other person better. When you know where you're coming from, you'll understand where the other person is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's important.
Yeah. What about couples in relationships, right? Like, so far we've toyed on the idea of unavailability and single and dating apps, but couples in relationships who find it difficult to communicate without being critical or without it sounding like the blame game or just like very negative communication on certain things that you disalign with, which you will. There's no relationship is perfect. What communication advice would you give them?
First thing that I would say, that a lot of us, in fact, if you know about John Gottman, he talks about that there are certain aspects of relationship which predicts divorce.
Really?
Yes, it does. One is stonewalling. So whenever there's a discomfort today, unfortunately, whenever anyone, like a person, whenever anyone comes across a discomforting conversation or a situation, we term it as toxic. But toxic and discomfort are 2 different things altogether.
Yeah.
Right? So it's important to understand that you will always have discomforting situations, something which is not comfortable for you. But it's okay to face it, because you have to understand where this other person is coming from.
Yeah.
And if there's something discomforting for you and you start stonewalling completely, stonewalling is you just shut down completely, that you don't talk. You're like, listen, I just don't want to talk about it. That's one of our, it's one of the aspect that predicts divorce or breakup. Another one is contempt. If you're constantly blaming the other person, that, oh, you know what, you do this, you do that. Instead of saying that you do this, you do that, it's about changing your entire conversation skill or working on
the
your
narrative.
craft.
Yeah.
That instead of saying you, start using the word I. That, oh, when you behave in this way, I don't like it. Instead, just simply say that I really appreciate when you speak to me in this way.
Yeah, you just remove the negative energy from it.
See, it's as simple.
Yeah.
So whenever someone tries to attack you, completely go on a defense mode, that I have to defend myself. But if your conversations get less attacking and more, I think, inclusive in nature, where you focus a lot more on your emotions, saying, instead of saying you always come late and I hate that, just say, I appreciate when you come on time. It's like I get more time with you and I really love it.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
There's a way.
Yeah.
So the person understand that this is something that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it's just about changing your style, working on your communication craft. It's just changing a narrative also. A lot of people actually come and say, oh, but this is so made up. This is not made up. If you really care for your relationship, you work on this craft. It's a skill you have to work on.
Yeah.
So for couples who are already in a relationship, one is, I think there's a lack of novelty in a relationship, which is why there's a lot of commotion that happens, that takes place. And having said that, you have to know that you don't have to, whenever there is a discomfort or a conversation that you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And not put it in a back seat.
Yeah.
Don't play on back foot.
Yeah, just say it.
Just say it, but there's a way how you say it.
How you say it, of course, matters.
Because it's 78% of how you say.
Yeah.
Whereas it just rest what you say.
Correct.
It's just 32% of what you say, but 78% of how you communicate your needs.
It's so important.
So tonality matters so much.
Of course.
So it's about how you communicate. So getting into more of I than you.
Yeah.
using more in the context of we. It's very important. As trite as this may sound,
Yeah.
but this is so important. These are the foundations.
Correct.
Just say from what you feel and not what the other person is doing. Understand the person is behaving from his or her comfort.
Yeah.
Maybe what has served this person since long.
Yeah, exactly.
So communicate, but communicate well.
Yeah.
Important. You don't have to stonewall. You don't have to use contempt. You don't have to get into blame games, because understand that the other person comes from a different experience, exposure, different background,
Different values.
different values, different upbringing,
Yeah.
different parenting style, and most importantly, different attachment style.
Yeah.
You know, we have 3 attachment styles.
Hmm.
And based on those 3 attachment styles is how we operate in life.
Okay.
One is an anxious attachment style. And this is attachment style is something that I've been telling everyone since day one, that please understand your attachment style, only then you'll understand your partner well.
Okay.
One is your anxious attachment style. Well, let's say there's a kid who has been throwing tantrum or crying for help, or why would a kid do that? To get attention from the primary caregivers, that's parents, right?
Yeah.
Now, if kid is crying and the mother is like, okay, I'll tend to this kid later. I'll tend to him later. Let me just do my
Let him cry.
work. Let him cry. I'll tend to him later. So the child learns that I have to really cry a lot or maybe throw tantrum to get someone's attention. So I develop an anxious attachment style, because after a bit of crying, my mother comes and tends to me.
Yeah.
Right? So I've learned that, I have to do too much for the person. I have to be there. I have to outdo myself. I have to please my partner so much in order to get his attention. I've learned I have to be clingy and needy. And that's anxious attachment style. The second is avoidant attachment style, which means that this kid who's crying and the mother is like, let him cry, iska roz ka hai. Let him cry. He'll just shut down in a bit. So the child learns that no matter how much you cry or you throw tantrum, no one will ever tend to you. So you have to be your own warrior. You have to be your own soldier. You have to be your own savior. And this is how in relationship, a lot of people, they shut down. They avoid conversations. They become an avoidant personality where they don't communicate how they feel. So you become, because you think, kitna bhi kar lo, no one's going to tend to me. So I become an avoidant person. So whenever there's a conflict, I just shut down. I just back off.
Yeah.
That's an avoidant style. The third is a secure style, where the child, again, coming back to the same analogy, the child is crying, where the mother, before crying, like the moment kid starts to cry, the mother would just go, sit down and ask child, is there something that's bothering you?
Why are you crying?
Why are you crying? So when you tend to the kid at the right time, understanding where this person is coming from, the child develops a narrative and a belief system that I am secure. I don't have to cry for help. People understand me. I don't have to be needy. I don't have to please someone to be loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just me.
Yeah. So important.
So important.
Yeah.
So the third style is secure attachment style, where the person, basically the kid is being tended at the right time, knows that, I am completely secure. My parents love me. My primary caregivers love me. And they tend to me time to time. So when you develop, when you grow, and you get into relationship, you get into relationship based on these 3 attachment styles.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Anxious, avoidant, or secure. For someone who's anxious, is always going to be needy and anxious. I didn't hear from my partner and I'm getting anxiety bouts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, where is he? He's not reverting back to me. So does that mean he's just with someone else?
Yeah.
You just start having these bouts of anxiety. Someone who's avoidant, my partner did not revert back to me. Let me just avoid him. Maybe this is how men are. This is how people are. So you also shut down because you're an avoidant person. Then secure. The secure would know that maybe this person is held up somewhere. Let me just wait for a bit, and maybe if he still doesn't get back, let me just drop a text saying, hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're fine. Let me know you want to connect back. That's secure attachment style.
Yeah.
That's how we operate. And which is why your childhood matters so much.
Of course, 100%.
The way you've been tendered, the way you've been conditioned, the way you've been nurtured is how you operate in your relationship, and it reflects in your relationship.
So how can what are the steps one can take to become and have a more secured sense of attachment?
It's just about knowing how the other person is. Suppose if you are someone who's an anxious attachment person, understand what is the partner's style, your partner's style.
Yeah.
Okay? And communicate with your partner. Talk about these attachment style. It's so important.
Yeah.
Sometimes, see, if you're an attachment style, your partner is an avoidance style, it's a huge mess.
Yeah.
Because one is avoiding, the other is constantly anxious.
Yeah.
That what's happening, I have no idea. And it's a deadly combination. It's actually a deadly combination. So it's important to talk about your attachment style to a partner. Talk about that, what really irks you, bothers you, what really gives you bouts of anxiety, or how do you operate when there's a conflict.
Yeah.
Right? When you talk about your styles, whether it's your defense styles, whether it's your conflict styles, when you talk about how do you operate, what triggers you, what irks you, your partner will understand where are you coming from, and you have to teach your partner that this is what is happening to me. And the only way to do that is
Communication. Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about, if something triggers you, just tell your partner, you know what, maybe when you disappear, it just makes me a bit nervous. And if your partner says that I was just busy somewhere, you don't have to be so anxious about it. Maybe you learn to develop and learn to tend to yourself that, look, what I'm thinking right now, every thought isn't a reality.
Yeah.
Of course, it's
100%.
my
Yeah.
reality,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
but it's not the reality.
It's a reality of the narrative you've built in your head.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing that. It's about understanding. And the only way you can understand is by knowing yourself more.
So it's also so you focused, right? I feel like you have to know yourself, understand yourself, and then help understand your partner. And I think that's also a major lack in people, and just clarity on what kind of a person am I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if my cup is empty right now, and if I have to serve something to you,
What do I serve?
what do I serve? I have nothing in my cup.
Yeah.
But suppose if I have something in my cup, then I'll be able to serve it to you, or maybe just, share it with you. That's how self-love is, or love is.
Yeah.
When I love myself, I know I have so much to give it to you too.
Yeah.
But if I have nothing, what do I give you? So it's important to have like a full cup for yourself, such that you know that you are able to give it to someone else too.
Correct. And how does physical intimacy play a role in all of this, right? Like there's so much about hookup culture and so much about exactly this, right? On an app, it's easy to have that lust and have that physical intimacy. How do you operate in the parameters of love and sex in a relationship that has begun perhaps not knowing each other that well?
First of all, your physical intimacy is extremely imperative in a relationship, because it kind of gives you a sense of belonging, especially for females. When it was being said that one of the aspect that keeps a relationship alive is the desire to have this other person.
Yeah.
It's the desire. So it's important to have that physical intimacy, but also at the same time, in this whole Gen Z hookup culture, it's important to know that it's the values that you have to develop. So know the person. There's something called, and I don't remember who actually spoke about this, but it's usually said that in the initial phase of your dating, you don't have to wet your partner. Wet means not telling partner what do you want in terms of physical intimacy. You have to know the person emotionally. So in today's time and age, it's very normal for you to fall prey to wanting to sleep with someone, but at the same time holding yourself back to know if you're giving yourself to the right person.
Yeah.
It's extremely important. Because you don't know, but when you share yourself with someone, you're also sharing your energies.
Yeah.
And people don't understand this. there's so much of energy exchange that keeps
Of
happening
course.
between you and your partner
Yeah.
then. So first, understanding that let me know this person, and if this person fits the criteria of my non-negotiables, and so do I. See, it's not about you focusing yourself. Even if you are fitting the person's
Criteria.
criteria as
Yeah.
non-negotiables, if you think you're way too aligned, you are compatible on different aspects of whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, all of this, then you go and tend to the
But see, this is
person.
not what hookup culture is about.
Yeah.
These parameters don't exist. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at. Like, how do you build that when you've not considered these parameters
Huh.
and you've gone forth and had the physical intimacy?
Yeah, and then how do you develop?
How do you develop it?
So it's about knowing. So if you really like the person,
Yeah.
let's say even if you met someone on the dating app,
Yeah.
you went on a date. Of course, you hooked up with the person. You had like a one night stand. Of course, you got physically intimate with the person. Now, suddenly, at least one out of the two will be attached.
Yeah.
If you've had like a good equation in bed, then at least one is going to be attached to the person. In that case, the first step is to communicate with the person that what do you think was the equation like? What do you think? What are you thinking of it?
Yeah.
Are you thinking that we should see each other often?
Yeah.
Or should we take this forward? And if the other person says that maybe not, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because if the reason you're asking, because somewhere you started to
Develop the attachment.
the attachment. So it's better to go for a short-term pain, right? Rather than, because the short-term pain will then give you a long-term gain.
Yeah.
Step number 2 is to simply indulge yourself into something that makes you happy.
Happy. Yeah.
I think it's a whole process. It's a journey you have to find.
Yeah.
So know that. So step 2 is to get into do things without them. Because I know that your mind is constantly going to,
Gravitate there.
yes,
Yeah.
you want to kind of, there's a pull that happens. Somewhere in this entire process, and in this process, if you really feel someone who's more aligned, go about it.
Yeah.
Know the person. But don't go for the go with the flow.
It's a red flag.
I think it's a red flag. There's something called orange flag. There's something a black flag also. Black flag is basically a flag that says, which is like a danger zone. That this
Okay.
person does not meet your non-negotiables also.
Okay.
It's important to know that a lot of people today, Gen Zs, they don't know the non-negotiables. And that's why they get into this hookup culture.
Okay, so that's great. So you have to figure out your non-negotiables first.
Very important. I don't completely understand this fact that if this person does not match all your criteria, then it's a no-no.
Yeah. It's workable. It's work.
Yeah,
You can work it out.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's
workable.
about you two meeting midway. It's not just you walking the bridge, crossing the bridge alone.
Yeah.
Because in this entire process, you're going to be like, oh, I'm burning myself to keep this person warm.
Yeah, or I'm doing all of the heavy lifting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's you two walking midway and meeting midway such that it feels more like a mutual work.
Correct.
And this is something that I really liked once Vicky Kaushal mentioned this, that it's not about you have to go to this person B. Okay? It's like you two have to meet at the point C.
Yeah.
And it's very important.
It's very important.
You both have to decide like a mutual goal and you both have to walk such that it feels like a mutual work. It feels like a teamwork.
Yeah.
That even she walked and I walked.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's both of us. It's more like a teamwork. And when you come from a space of a teamwork, it gives you sense of love.
Yeah.
And that is love.
Okay.
And that's actually love. Love is in these little things. It's not in
The grand gestures. I don't know,
yeah, it's
I said
always
that.
in the orange peel, how people say. Not orange peel as such, but
Still not understood. I'll Google it later. Okay, fab. We'll move to the next section. It's called What to Do If. So just
yeah.
succinct answers on hypothetical situations that people could be going through.
Yeah.
What do you do if your date ghosts you after a really great date?
Then you drop a text saying that, hey, I hope you're doing better. And if there's something you would like to communicate, I would really appreciate that. So it's just about maybe dropping a text and letting that person know. And then you give this person
The space.
the space, but you also give this person like a 10 or 12 day time and wait and see if there's no response. Then you learn to move out of it. Because you can't be you can't, I feel sorry, but people are disposable these days. And you don't want to be one of the disposable ones.
Yeah. Okay. Your partner is a terrible texter and makes you feel ignored.
In that case, you have to understand that this is how your partner operates, that your partner does not like communicating through text. So maybe it's about understanding the person's style of communication. See, we all have different style of communication. Unfortunately, every single person in a relationship today feels that the way I operate, that's how my partner should operate.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe your partner just operates way differently.
Yeah, maybe like
Maybe it's a
voice
distinct-
notes. Maybe,
Exactly.
yeah.
Forget even voice notes. Maybe
Yeah.
this person just, instead of texting or voice notes, this person just feels that, okay,
Let me just pick up the phone.
pick up the phone, maybe speak for a brief period, and then let me get back to work.
Yeah.
So it's just about understanding. Maybe the person does not like to be by the phone all the time.
Okay. Your partner is moving too fast in a relationship than you're comfortable with.
That's also, that's more like a pink flag, I would say. Pink flag is basically where it's like, it's not even a red flag, but it's something where it's called have a slow burn in a relationship. You know what slow burn is? So this is way too contextual to this, because if your partner is, you know, you've gone on a date or a two, and then suddenly this partner says that, you know what, let's just get married. So it's not a healthy flag that you're noticing, because this person has to know you. In that case, just speak with your partner that, listen, you know what, I would appreciate you know me as a person.
It's seeming a bit impulsive.
Yeah, it's impulsive, I understand. And this comes from a space where this person does not like being alone and feels so lonely that this person is constantly looking for an anchor.
Yeah.
So in that case, either it could be a rebound, or it could be you being an escape for this person. So you just have to communicate saying that, you know what, maybe let's have the slow burn in a relationship. Know me more and see how do you feel about it.
Okay. Your partner cheats on you with your friend.
Then it's a goodbye. You just drop
a
it
bye.
goodbye. It's a goodbye.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's important to understand why the person cheated on you, because I think
the
it gives
person
you,
cheated on you. So like, I
Of
don't
course,
think there's a
in
reason.
itself,
Yeah. Like
so
it's
cheating itself is like a full stop to a relationship, but at least it gives you a fair understanding about the other person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because, I'll tell you one of the reasons why partners also cheat, because there's a lack of novelty in a relationship. Okay, and to keep your relationship alive, it's just not to do with spice. It's just not to do with having great sex all the time. It's also to do with doing novel things together.
yeah, like
to
interesting.
keep the
keeping it
spice up.
interesting. Yeah.
Right? Spice doesn't have to be sex all the time.
Yeah.
Spice is doing activities together,
Yeah.
having fun together,
Yeah.
creating memories together.
Yeah.
So doing novel things together. So it's just about you don't have to necessarily know why the person cheated, but maybe you can just ask for an answer, and then of course it's a full stop. You're done and dusted with it.
Yeah. At least you know contextually what happened.
But also at the same time, a lot of people, you know, when they know the answer, "Achha, this is the reason why he cheated on me," and then you try to kind of comfort
Justify
yourself
it, yeah.
and say, "Oh, you were the reason why this happened. So maybe let's just give him another chance." But there's no such thing as another chance. Okay.
Amazing. We have a next section. It's called Red Flag or Green Flag. So these are very popular characters in Bollywood movies, you know, some of which were very loved. And we want to know what flag they were. And we have like mini flags for representation.
Yeah.
So we'll get those on.
These are so cute flags. Yeah, I like it. These are cute flags. I think I'm going to do the red flag, the green flag.
Okay, fine. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I have to just, are they a red flag or a green flag? Okay.
Yeah.
Aman from Kal Ho Na Ho. It's a
Green flag.
Okay.
I think green flag because he comes from a lot of secure attachment style, because he understood a lot about the character.
Yeah.
He understood about Preeti Zinta, where she's coming from and all of it. And he didn't try to impose his emotions on her. So a lot of green flag, of course.
Okay. Ahana from Kho Gaye Hum Kahan.
I haven't watched the movie.
Okay. Rocky from Rocky or Rani.
I haven't watched that either, but that's a green flag.
Just because of Ranveer Singh.
No. That's, I think I would, because I've seen like a gist of the movie, and it does talk about a lot of characteristics of him.
Yeah.
that were a green flag, where he was someone who was determined to work things on.
Oh, yeah. And
So
he
I
was very
think it's
emotional also.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I think for females, since we come from a space of emotions, we want someone who's tending to us emotionally. So I think it's a...
Okay. Bunny and Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. It was a red flag.
He was a red flag initially. Later, when he understood that, oh, he's losing out on someone, that's when he became a green flag. But he was a red flag, of course.
overall red
100%
flag.
because... and one of the reasons why he was a red flag, because he didn't know himself, which is why he was getting into a lot of casual hookups also. So, it's red flag. But if that was serving him, then I think that's not a red flag.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, if that, and he never lied about it. He said,
Yeah,
this is who I am.
yeah. So I think it's in between then.
Pink.
Kind of. Do we have a pink flag?
No, we do not have a pink flag.
There's something called beige flag also.
Just like, let's stop talking about this. Like, I can't deal with the spectrum of
I know.
colors. Anjali from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai.
She was a green flag.
Yeah.
I think she was a pure green flag because she liked the person. She liked Rahul. And she couldn't communicate because she saw that maybe he liked someone else and she definitely didn't want to create more
So
ruckus.
she took that train and left.
Yeah. So I think green flag because I think she took the short-term pain for a long-term gain.
Smart girl.
Smart girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Akash Malhotra from Dil Chahta Hai.
Akash Malhotra was
Amir Khan.
Amir Khan, right? Oh, he was a green
such
flag.
a green flag.
Akash Malhotra was a green flag because I think after knowing himself, he knew what he really wanted. And I think there was this persuasion that went on
Yeah.
to
It's
get
sweet.
Preeti Zinta.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened after the persuasion. So that's actually...
No, they got married.
But the actual thing happens after marriage only.
Okay, so we don't know. We know till then.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have modern relationship slangs.
Okay.
And you have to describe what this word means in one sentence
Okay.
so that people get context of
Okay.
it. What is zombieing?
Zombieing is more similar to ghosting, where you ghost a person, but also at the same time you're like dropping a little bit of a hint to the person. So
Okay, situationship.
you are together without any labels. So you want to date each other, but you don't know who you are to each other.
Yeah, you're
So and it's weird because I think most Gen Zs are today in situationships. They don't want to commit. They don't want to even talk about it, that where they are and who they are for each other.
woke fishing.
Oh my God, this is something that I came across recently, which is very, very recent to me. Woke fishing is where one of the person is way too woke, way too spiritual, way too awakened, way too
Spiritual
aware.
woke.
No, not spiritual, but someone who's way too aware of everything.
Okay.
And it's more like it's more like a red flag also, because this person tries to put the other one down that, oh, you're not aware of these things.
Okay.
You're so naive.
Yeah. Like you don't know as much as I do.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Breadcrumbing.
Oh my God. Breadcrumbing is as
It's
simple
the
as that.
worst thing ever.
Yeah. Breadcrumbing is just someone is together. It gives you a hint of, oh, I am with you, but doesn't want to commit. It's like leaves you settle for crumbs.
Yeah.
So when you have these crumbs, you'll always see these little tiny ants coming over and settling for those crumbs. So, and breadcrumbing happens when you don't value yourself.
Yeah.
When you don't respect yourself, and that's when you settle for someone doing even less than
It's the bare minimum. Yeah.
No, not even bare minimum.
It's like below that.
below that.
Okay. Benching.
Gen Zs are doing this today. Benching is as simple as that. It's you are speaking with 10 other people and you putting them on hold. You're making them sit on the bench as potential options. It's similar to when
Substitutes in a game.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's more like, no, but more than that, the actual context can be, the relatable context could be when you go for an interview, you have a lot of candidates who are sitting out there.
Yeah.
And then you as a boss, you know there are a lot of potential candidates waiting.
So I'll interview all.
So I have a benefit of choosing. So you are speaking with 10 different people right now and you're taking each one of them as a potential option, and whomsoever meets most of your criteria,
Then
maybe this person gets the badge of honor to be with me.
micro cheating.
Micro cheating is as simple as that you're texting someone and you're slightly flirting with them. They call it healthy flirting. It could, and then you delete the text, and it simply means that maybe even if you're speaking with a friend of yours, and if your partner is a little sensitive in nature, you delete the text. So that's micro cheating.
Okay.
It could be cheating in a very small, but people say it's a non-harmful way.
Right.
But even that's micro cheating.
Love
Anything
bomb.
that you have to delete,
Yeah, it's
that's
cheating.
micro cheating.
Okay. Love bombing.
Oh my God, I hate that. Love bombing is when someone shows you love in small portion and then just suddenly starts
Dips,
ghosting.
yeah.
Just backs off and suddenly disappears, doesn't give you that too much love. And suddenly when you think that maybe this person is not into you and you take a back step, that's when the person realizes, oh, I have a chance of losing her.
Let me love bomb again.
Let me just bomb her and maybe just inject you with a little bit of a love and back off again. So it's like too much of to and fro of bombing you with love, going back, bombing you. And this is something when you don't appreciate yourself, when you don't have a sense of self, your sense of identity, this shows your lack of self-love. That's when you settle for love bomb.
Okay. Okay. We have come to the end of this episode and have had very many conversations and learned very many new things, half of which I'm sure I didn't want to learn also, but for the
100%.
interest of the larger good of people
larger
who are
audience.
watching, yeah, we have learned about pink flags and zombies and whatever else.
I don't think I would want to be a part of the beige flag, pink flag,
No,
black flag,
please,
all of that.
Yeah, no.
I think I'm good with these two flags.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, when we talk about these different terms, these were a part of our life even earlier.
It's just that you've termed it.
You
now.
just termed
You've
it. You
yeah.
just fancied it. And today,
And you've
because-
allowed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because you've termed it, you're fancying it. Today people are fancying it, saying, oh, I'm in a situationship. But you don't have to fancy it.
You can just be like, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's important to know that these things existed even earlier. Now we've just started terming it.
Okay, so we started the episode with a question about what is love. We'll end the episode with how does one find love? Because people struggle with it. What are some of the actions that they can take to call love into their life or attract that relationship or be in a healthy, stable relationship?
I think one way to find love is first by starting with yourself. That when you love yourself, when you approve of yourself, you know that you're full in yourself.
Yeah.
And in that whole process, when you're focusing on your life, in the process, you'll find someone who's way more aligned with you. The only way to find love and know that this person is meant for you is knowing. And when you see someone or when you have someone who is compatible in a lot of different forms for you, right? Who is someone who doesn't judge you, approves of who you are, respects you for who you are, respects your boundaries. It's extremely important to know that maybe this person, you can definitely step ahead and play on front foot. That's how you know that this is love, right? It's when your partner sees you without any labels.
Yeah.
That, oh, you are a successful entrepreneur, or maybe you're great at this or good at that. But when you're great human to this person, when you're great human to each other, that's love. When you help.
How does one attract that love?
So one way to attract is, like I said, of course,
You
when
have
you
to love
be,
yourself,
you
yeah.
love yourself, and in the process, maybe today we see a lot of youngsters, and I get a lot of DMs saying that, you know what, it's been so long and I don't have a partner. How do I find one? One way to find a partner, like a good love in your life, is you can obviously get into different activities. That is, say for example, if I really like reading or I like someone who is a reader as well, maybe you can just go to a nearby library. Maybe you can find someone who's way more aligned to you, someone you may like, someone you can connect with. You have to start socializing with people, right? But that something will allow you to know more people, but that does not mean you can find love. The only way you can find love is by believing in yourself and knowing that when the time comes, you will find someone who's way more aligned. And when you see someone who is more who respects you more than you do yourself, who knows that he or she wants to see you grow, that's the sign that you found love.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. I think a lot of actionables.
Today, I think love, a lot of people have given a lot of different connotation to love, because
Yeah.
even when they find someone, and this is something I've been really wanting to talk, even if you, I see a lot of people that even when they have someone who really values them, they still in their mind, they think that, where is love?
Yeah.
But love is in these small things.
Yeah.
If he or she is adding value to your life and you think he is a great addition,
That's love.
that's love. And he or she doesn't have to manipulate or maneuver you to be
A
as
certain
per
way,
a certain
yeah.
way, or to be more aligned with this person.
Hmm.
That's love. And this is true love,
Okay.
if anything.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this special week. And we hope that this
Yes.
inspires people to have healthier relationships and hopefully attract the right relationship in their life.
100%. And thank you so much for having me on this podcast, because and like I look forward to all the novelty that you bring to the show, and more so, I think if anything, it helps people to look at life from a nuanced perspective. So I
Amazing.
think this is something that I really I admire the show. I admire what you've been doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being the best community, and we'll see you in the next one.